further ado, we're going to welcome on our next speaker, who is going to keep this party going for us. Everybody, please put your hands together. Give a huge warm welcome for Kitze.
Hi. All right, is this thing on? Hi, everybody. I am Kitze, the Kitze on Twitter. That QR code has been done a very long time ago on a very shady website. So if you scan it, you might get a virus, or it might take you to my blog. You can find me on Twitter. That's the safest option. I'm from Macedonia. I live in Poland. I stopped using any of these ways to describe myself, and I call myself just a rectangle mover. I think more developers need to accept this is what we do. We take some JSON and we paint some rectangles. It's not more complex than that. I was wondering whether I have ADHD or not, and I Googled ADHD tests, and I bailed in the middle of the test, which basically answered my question whether I have ADHD or not. I'm working on way too many things at once, and I forgot to include a few here, which is recently I became a father. That's the most important thing out of these side projects. And a new thing is I started a rap reaction channel. Like, I'm already packed in life with so many things. I'm like, I should also react to rap songs. So I'm all over the place with my ideas. As soon as I get an idea, I just pursue it like a golden retriever. I don't stop and think like whether it's worth making or not. And one of the best ideas that I had, and one of the things that I've been living from in the last few years, has been Sizzy, the browser for developers. So a torture exercise I want to do to myself at every conference is to ask people who is actually using this. And usually there's like 2 people in the back, usually some employee or ex-employee of Sizzy. So that's my torture exercise. The project I've been focused on for the last 2 years is called Benji. I'm not going to even bother with raising the hand, because you're developers. If you're not using Sizzy, you're probably not using Benji. I made an app for myself, like a life OS that combines a to-dos, calendar, habits, Pomodoros, and I have to read these because there's like 79 features. Meal tracking, hydration, packing, goals, mood tracking, journal, fasting, workouts, and a billion other things into one app. So this is the thing that I've been focused on. And I also released a course. Yes, the mascot is made with Midjourney. That's why it has 3 mouths. It's supposed to be a boat with a mouth, but it has 3. But sometimes it drives clicks because people make fun of the mascot, and they actually bring new customers to the course. So I'm guilty for not doing a technical talk, because most of the speakers will be doing some sort of technical talk. So I'm going to do 5 quick ones, and then we're going to get started. So the first one, I'm going to pretend to leave the stage, and then I'll come back. All right. How to build an Electron browser from scratch using Electron, Next.js, and MobX State Tree. Don't. Your mental health will thank you. Thank you for attending. All right. Next one. Woo! The missing explanation for use effect. It's still missing. Thank you for attending. All right. Next one. You need to applaud. Thank you, whoever applauded. What's new and exciting in React? Nothing unless you're the fake. They keep releasing stuff, but no one is actually used, so whatever. Thank you for attending. One more. This is the last one, I promise you. Practical use cases for Web3. Thank you. Thank you for attending. All right. So my talk is called GitHub Stars Won't Pay Your Rent. This is an article that I wrote at this point, I don't know, 5 years ago or something, and it goes viral on Hacker News like clockwork every year. It's a bit of a longer article, but I would recommend you to read it, because you're going to see the difference between more hopeful Kitze. Like, back when I wrote this, I was like, fuck yeah, we're going to build startups, we're going to crush it, blah, blah, blah. And now 5 years later, there's a little bit more of the bitter, angry Kitze. So there's a difference, even though the talk is titled the same, there's a difference between the article and the talk. So my 2 goals with this talk, and you're going to forget about the second one, I guarantee you that. The first one is to motivate you to properly start charging for your work. Whether you have an open source thing or a startup or whatever, you need to increase your prices. This is going to be part 1, so I'm going to get you hyped up to the point where you forget, wait, he said there's going to be a part 2. And there's going to be a part 2 where I'm going to discourage you from making paid things. So everything I ever worked on was for one reason. I just wanted to build solutions to my own problems. This is a little bit stupid sometimes, because you cannot always prioritize this, but good things have come my way because I followed this mindset. Like, recently I released this because I was wondering, like, I have a closed GitHub repo, and I want people to be able to pay to get access to this boilerplate or whatever. Why isn't there a solution for this? So I sat down for a weekend and made this, where you can like connect it to Stripe or whatever, and suddenly people can pay to access your GitHub repo. It's just like a golden retriever chasing an idea, and you release it and you move on. But one of the first ones I released was, this is 2016. So I wanted a list of all of the commands that I can ask my Google Assistant, basically. Back then, there was like no ChatGPT. It was like a list of commands. Even Siri right now is dumb to a point where you have a list of things you can ask. And if you ask in the wrong way, she's not going to answer. So I was working on this for probably a month, and I was going to a co-working space, and people were like, why are you wasting on time on this bullshit? I was tweaking the animation, like the intro animation is a little bit crazy. And they're like, what is this going to bring you? And I'm like, I don't know. I just know that I want it. And when I want something, I'll freaking pursue it until I finish. I didn't even think like, wait, there's no way to monetize this. Like the only benefits of this is like, some grandma will learn how to set timers. And I still get emails to this day, people blaming me for the Google Assistant not working properly. They're like, I told you to do something and this doesn't work. I'm like, I didn't make it. I'm not the maker of Google, for fuck's sake. So, but I didn't expect this benefit, like out of nowhere, randomly. Like I was nobody, I didn't have following, I had nothing. And it got featured on TechCrunch. I didn't plan this. So I was just pursuing a dumb idea. TechCrunch liked it. They're like, look at this list. And suddenly brought me more followers and suddenly snowballed into like more things happening in life. But it wasn't any plan of some it wasn't like a part of some grandmaster plan. So a lot of people ask me and DM me actually about this freaking thing. And they're like, how do you get followers? How do you get success? How do you get this? How do you get that? And I like this mindset, even though sometimes it's a bit stupid because money driven for a lot of people goes first. They pursue money. They're like, I want to chase money, so I should do the things that actually bring me money. I was always solution driven to a fault, actually. Like I'll find something that needs a solution and I don't even think about monetizing or whatever. That comes later. I just want to solve it right now and we'll think about stuff later. And most people have this twisted, like I keep saying this, like build things and document them wherever you document them, on Twitter, on a vlog or whatever, and good things will come to you. Hashtag build in public. That's the hashtag that people use. But most fuckers get this wrong. They just are in public. They're like hashtag build in public. I'm like, you're just in public, you're not building anything. So you'll find them 90% on Twitter and 10% actually building something. And they're like, this formula doesn't work, bro. It doesn't work because you're not doing the build part. It's actually like two problems with this approach. You think that your problems are not worth solving, and like 90% people, they have this. Like you think of something, you're like, but this is not worth solving. Like who's gonna use this? And second thing is like, you don't see things as problems. So nobody else has my problem is a very wrong mentality, because you're thinking, and I'm thinking, anytime, even with new ideas that I have, I'm always thinking of my closest friends, like Twitter people. Like you close your eyes right now, and when you think of releasing something, you're gonna imagine how the people closest in your bubble will react to it, right? Your mom's not gonna get hyped about anything that you build. She's always gonna tell you to get a job, right? Even if you have a job, she's gonna be like, yeah, we could have gotten a better job. So like, don't think of the bubble, don't think of the Twitter friends, don't think of your mom, just think of, you know, a little bit outside. So 2 types of people I mentioned. Most things are not a problem and finds a problem in everything. So on the left is my sister, on the right it's me. It's one of the reasons why I moved out. My parents thought, oh my God, he's so ambitious. It wasn't. I'm gonna tell you why I moved out back in the day. We had 2 remotes, one for a DVD and one for a TV, and they both had the same batteries, and one of them died. So my sister, for a freaking year, she was swapping the batteries a few times per day whenever she needed to use I was dying in that room, like just seeing her casually. She's like, what? It's not a problem, chill. So I cannot, like, because my mentality is like, I need to solve everything. Down to a point, I'm cutting cherry tomatoes, and you know those fuckers, they splash in your face, right? You've never eaten a cherry tomato without some of it getting in your eye, right? So I'm trying to cut it, and I'm like, there has to be a fucking solution for this. And I present to you, I mean, I love my family, but I love this more than my family. You can find it on Temu, AliExpress, whatever. I use this every day. It's my favorite thing, dude. You're loaded with cherry tomatoes, you do like, and it slices all of them. So once I get this idea that something might be easier, it's over. And then when I have the solution, there's no way I'm going back to the knife. So I did the equivalent of that, just like the software equivalent was actually the birth of Sizzy. Why? I was working for clients, I was freelancing, and my client was like, we need this web app to be perfectly responsive. And I was like, cool. I was using Google Chrome back in the day, and I would open, you know, the regular view, and I would switch to an iPad, I would switch to an iPhone, I would switch to a phone. 3 times I would switch, and I'm like, wait, this is how I should, like, how will I know if it works on all of them at once if I keep switching them? So I was like, this is what I've done. This is literally a tweet from 2017. I put a bunch of iframes on a page. That was Sizzy version 0.001. A bunch of iframes on an index.html page, and I tweeted, hey guys, does anyone want this? And a bunch of people were like, oh, cool, I would like to see my website. And that's how it snowballed into what Sizzy is today, like a full-fledged browser for developers. But then as we kept developing, like people always thought like, okay, this is the line of innovation. There's nothing he can add more to this. But I always was like problem driven. Like anytime I would have a problem in Sizzy, I'm like, this should be solved with a few features. So I would call it like a problem-driven development. Like I was tired of switching between users, like logging in and out to try the admin, to try the guest, to try the other user. And I'm like, why don't we give these frames like different sessions? So you can choose, like, you can look at your admin and a few other users at once. So it became not a thing only for responsive design, but you can test across multiple scenarios at once. And this was literally happening every once in a while, the customers will be like, we want this, but I'm like, yeah, but I have a big problem and I want to solve my big problem first. And a lot of times they don't even know that they had the same problem. They're going to see this and I'm going to be like, oh, cool. I didn't think I wanted that. So of course I was tired of course. Everyone is dealing with course issues. Applause for the pun, please. No, don't. It's a shitty pun. So there's a button to just disable course. You can be like, I can disable course for localhost. It's going to work fine. Tired of Googling how to kill a port? There's a kill port thingy. So this is, I'm tired of driven development. I'm using it in everything. And it's a little bit shitty when you prioritize your own problems over the customer problems, but it has proven as a strategy that worked. Because like when you think about like the invention of the ATM, like people were fine with going to the bank. No one was sitting at home thinking like, oh man, it'd be nice to get money from a machine, right? And then they invented it. And probably I assume back in the day there was no hacker news, but there were a lot of haters. I don't know where, in newspapers, in magazines, they're like, fuck that, I can just go to the bank. There's always a haters who are like, I'm gonna do the thing manually because you don't know you need some. Someone needs to invent something for you to be like, oh shit, I might need that. So problem-driven development. When you solve a problem, we have this classic Shakespearean deal. You solved it, right? I solved Sizzy, let's say, as a problem, and I always like have this dilemma: should we open source or should we not open source? So a lot of people keep doing this thing, like they open source all the things, and it's like I wouldn't be here, like I wouldn't have any products without open source, and I'm thankful for everyone who's done open source, and I've done open source in the past. But I think why people choose it a lot of times is because the path, like you have this solution here, you have solved the thing, and now you have the path. The path to open sourcing it is like one click, right? You publish on GitHub, you're like, it's live, you go prepare your tweet, you add a bunch of emojis, you're done. You're happy for the day, right? Because you want to get to that finish line faster. The path to actually making it a paid product, it's a giant pain in the ass. You need to think about integrating Stripe and customer portals and a bunch of other things, and a lot of people don't want to take the long path, so they'll just take the short one and they'll open source the thing. So that's what I did. We open sourced Sizzy. And over the course of, I don't know, less than a year, got 5,000 stars. It was product of the day on Product Hunt, and also they had some summer, like product of the summer. We were ahead of Raspberry Pi. Like Raspberry Pi was below Sizzy. Isn't that bananas, raspberries? No? God damn, you're hard with the puns today. Thousands of active users, and you might think, okay, all of these metrics, they make sense. Number one on Product Hunt, so many stars, right? So many active users, because on the Chrome extension, you can actually see users, so it must mean money. So I'm gonna ask you to do a little drum roll like this, and I'm gonna tell you how much Sizzy made as an open source product for more than a year. There you go. A year of dealing with pull requests, closing issues, commenting on issues, like so many requests that people have in open source, like working all day, every day, just to make $92. And you're like, okay, there's something, this doesn't make sense. I mean, nowadays, with the way that I do open source now, it makes perfect sense because most of my repos have that yellow thingy, like we detected a vulnerability, something, you're gonna get hacked or a virus, whatever. And my FAQs look like this. I just cannot bother, just read this. They're like, hey, does this, no, do it. Open a pull request, but I'm not doing any of that. So now it makes sense that I have a single GitHub sponsor paying $1. I think he even churned out, but whatever. But back then it didn't make sense because I gave everything to make this open source. There's so many active users and you only make $92. So here's my wild and crazy theory. I never thought of this, right? If someone hands you a sandwich at the airport or whatever, there's like two reactions. First of all, it's a free sandwich, right? First of all, you'll be skeptical, like, is this good? Is it going to poison me? Second reaction, no one has said, no, I don't want this for free. I'm going to pay you $30 for this. Everyone will be like, fuck yeah, free sandwich. So the same applies to software. So the same thing repeated with Benji. For a while, I was like, I'm going to be Mother Teresa. I had this wild goal in my head that I'll make a life OS, which is going to give you your habits and calendars and everything, and you're going to fix your life to a point where you're going to stop using all these bad things like social media and TikTok and YouTube. Blah, blah. In my head, bro, I had like a freaking discussion that one day this is going to get so big, this is going to disrupt the usage of TikTok and Twitter, all sorts of things. Like nothing happened. It's been 2 years. There's no disruption happening. And I was like, I have to give this away for free, most of it, because I want this to get to so many people who are going to improve their lives. Reality was like, people didn't care, and I was working on something that didn't make a lot of money. So slowly I made like an optional pro plan, and it started to make a little bit of money because it was optional. I'm still, droning on the optional thing because you give people the option to pay. And after it's been almost 2 years, and in the last month I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'll just make this. You get 7 check-ins for free, so on any 7 days you can just use it. And then it says like, hey, if you want to join our app, you can continue with this plan or with the other plan. And you'll be mind blown. It actually started making money. Like, it's such a simple concept. You take away the free option and you're like, okay, I've used this for 7 days. I liked it. I'm going to start paying for it. And if you're skeptical, like I see some skeptical faces in the audience, like, no, bro, I pay for my software. I always pay for things. Really? Have you seen any of these sliders? Let's be honest right now. Who has dragged this to the right side? No one, because on the right side, no, you haven't. Put your arm down. Because when you drag it to the right side, there's going to be a bunch of dust popping up. Like, no one has touched the right side. You're pulling this to the left. Even if it's $1, you're pulling to the left. I want it to be 0, right? You don't want to pay. So no one has paid for things that are given to you for free. So a few years went by after CZ. I didn't develop that many websites. I started doing conference talks and workshops and blah, blah, blah. So I didn't need like a browser. So after a while, I stopped with that and I started developing websites again. And the perfect storm has happened. So I started developing websites. I couldn't go back to a regular browser because it would be like going back to slicing the cherry tomatoes with a knife. It would be annoying. But Sizzy was in such a shitty state. It was like a Chrome extension, which doesn't give you all the power. Like it doesn't simulate like the real thing. Then I got a DM for Praneet, which was actually the first employee who DM'd me, hey man, I want to make more money in life and I want to, succeed and do this and that. And I was like, how about we make this together? So we turned it from a Chrome extension into a full-fledged Electron browser. And the last one was I tried to use GitHub stars as a payment method, but that button wasn't there. So I was like, fuck it. We're going to have this classic Shakespearean dilemma, which is like very hard, especially when you have many stars and many users. Just closing this repo was actually a very hard decision. First of all, because I kept thinking, so now we went from nobody else has my problem, right? You prove that people have your problem. You see the analytics, you see the downloads, you see all the things, and now you keep doubting yourself, well, yeah, but nobody's going to pay for this. Like, who in their right mind is going to pay for this? No matter how much proof you have, you're not going to think of this. Because again, we're thinking about our bubble, and we're not thinking about the world. So when we launched CZ, I was just sitting there with my jaw dropped. Like, when I remember the moment when we got a sale from Japan. I'm like, I don't know, I don't have anyone in my closest Twitter bubble from Japan. What is going on? Like, so many random companies and stuff, and we're so fixed on, can I sell something to my closest circle? Not thinking that people in the world, millions of them, actually have the same problem, and they would pay a price to solve that problem. Now, the question is, what price would they pay? I had the same thing with Sizzy as I have with Benji, the Mother Teresa thingy, where I'm like, this should be as low as possible because every developer in the world's going to use it. It didn't happen. No matter how you price it, like the price was very low, and still developers who decide not to use something, they're not going to use something. So the idea was I wanted to get this to as many people as possible. And also we're competing against free browsers. We have Chrome, Firefox, all of these other browsers which are free. And now you need to convince people to pay for your browser, which is a little bit insane. So we decided on something that in retrospect is a little bit stupid. It was $5 per month. So when I talked to investors, when I talked to they were laughing. They were like, there's no way this is your pricing. Like, you have a huge features page with like a bazillion things. And then when someone's going to see $5, they're going to be skeptical. Like, are they stealing our data? Like, what are they doing? Like, why is this $5? And it's actually true. Like, when you get the free sandwich, right, you're immediately skeptical. Like, it shouldn't be good if it's free. So we had that effect on CZ. So I realized this as a conclusion, that there's people who get it and people who don't get it. And people who get it will pay any price, the $5, the $9, the $19. They're like, oh my God, this saves me thousands of hours. Like, I'm actually going to pay whatever price. And there's people who don't get it. You can just get it down to $1 or like whatever price it is. They're just not going to use it. And this was actually proven with GitHub Copilot, right? In the beginning, everyone was like, oh my God, GitHub Copilot is so... Oh, it's $10? It's not that good. I can just write my own code. It's fine, right? So we decided to actually close the open source app and make it paid. And immediately the mob started like, no, boo. Like, the Chrome extension ratings just immediately went down. They're like, no, it shouldn't be like this. And everything should be free. And this is not fun. But these are some valid complaints, right? People are like, I want to pay only once. I'm going to make my own version. Isn't this literally Google Chrome with, my favorite part, isn't this literally Google Chrome? And then I'm going to list like 50 other things with 50 other things. Yeah, it makes sense. Desktop apps shouldn't be, like, I agree with some of them, but people take too much freedom to tell you online, like, how much you should charge for your own thing, right? Like, translate this scenario in real life. Imagine you just walk into a supermarket, the cashier just chilling there on her phone, playing Candy Crush, whatever. You enter the supermarket and you start saying, I can go to the other side of town and buy a cheaper milk, and I can raise a cow, and she'll be like, yeah, okay, do that. Like, but people online will tell you, no, you should price it lower. This is how you should price it. So anyway, we closed the open source repo. We priced it what we priced it. We launched it. And the launch was actually the best part of this entire journey. This is how I felt. I've turned on like a ka-ching sound every time I got money from Sizzy. It was like mind-blowing that you're finally making money from something that was open source for a while. So the payment provider, I was using paddle.com, they actually blocked my email, my IP address because I was refreshing the money like so often. I would just command R all the time and they're like, IP blocked, please try again later or whatever. It was crazy. My wife joined after a while as a full-time not employee, basically. We were like kind of like co-founders. She was doing a lot of things, including she decided to dress us like Sizzy vomited on us, like from top to bottom. She made merch. She was so excited about all of this, and I'm super thankful that she helped me with everything. So until now, you forgot about part 2, right? I got you hyped. You're like, some people here on their phones, they're probably texting their boss like, fuck you, I quit. You're closing your repos. You're going on Tinder. I'm going to find a wife. She's going to get us merch. We're going to make, right? But don't forget, we have part 2, right? From this moment on, this will be you for the second part of the presentation, which is called Fuck Having a Startup. So let's start. Also, I hate the word startup. People will make like a localhost 3000 thing and they're like, launching my startup. No, you're not. It's an app. Whatever. So let's start with the basics. I tweeted this and it's still true to this very day. I know engineers around me who make more money than I am with my startups, and it's freaking annoying that people don't agree with this. So when I tweeted that most engineers with a salary make more money than startup founders, people got mad, and these were the replies. So no, actually, before the replies, everyone secretly is craving to write a tweet like this. I can guarantee you, when you see other people getting to any MRR or anything, you're like, oh, I wish I could just write all of those emojis. It would be nice, right? So some of the replies on the tweet were, I'm going to read, it's not about the money. It's about ownership, doing things your way. You're motivated and fulfilled work gives them meaning. This will put more effort, blah, blah. This replied you. They're making a dent in the world. The only dent is in my head from reading Electron documentation. There's no dent in the freaking world. A lot of us came here because we simply love to build things. Why not act on your own ideas? And my favorite reply, and this guy has been in these slides for years at this point, it's nice being able to do what you want. This is bullshit. Doing what I want? I woke up one day to an email from a customer. This is a screenshot. I'm not shitting you. This was an actual email. Dude, this is in the subject. He didn't even bother to write in the body. Like, this is in the subject. She's like, fuck you, this shouldn't be paid. Doing what I want, this is what I want to wake up to every day. So the DJ Khaled gift, like the celebration is right there. And inevitably, no matter how many products I launch, this is always the truth. Like, you get hyped until you launch it, and then the hype dies down, and you have to deal with customers and bug fixes and all of the things, and you inevitably burn out, especially if you're bootstrapping the thing. And if you don't trust me, I put a second shitty chart, which tells you that it's actually 90% not fun, and it's 10% fun, only until you launch it. Because every job has the job part that sucks. When we see like superhero movies, we see Scarlett Johansson, she's the Black Widow, but she also has to go on Hot Ones and eat wings and be turned into a meme forever and burn her mouth just to promote the thing, right? Every job is actually sucky in a way. Like even, I don't know, the Queen. Is it too early for that joke? Because she doesn't have a job anymore? Whatever. Customers. I'm grateful. Actually, no one raised their hand, so there's no customers here. I can freely talk bad about customers. Like, they will find all sorts of ways to turn your day into a nightmare. They'll always send an email. Bro, you cannot hide your... You know how nowadays it's very hard to find emails on a page. You got to go to the footer and to the docs and to the thing, and you need to dig for the email. They'll find it. No matter what, they'll find it because how do I know? Someone emailed us, hey guys, you don't have an email on your landing page. How did you email? Did you guess it? Like, how did you freaking... Like, you'll get all sorts of payment requests. Like, the amount of things, like sometimes I stare at an email, I'm like, how did you even, like, what is going, like, they have things like this. Hey, this is the simple one. Crypto, like any coin out there, shitty coin, dog, whatever coin, they're going to ask you if they can pay with it. Or they'll be like, hey, we're on a team plan, but on a 3 plan, I was on a trio plan, I want to change, but add the discount, and someone is in Germany. They'll write the most complicated thing, and sometimes, I swear to you, I just give them for free. I'm like, take it for free. Just, I don't want to deal with the logistics. Just please don't email me again. And of course, this is a browser, so we have the classic, like, where do they find even these Linux distros? Like, there's so many versions of Linux and whatever where Sizzy doesn't work on, it's annoying. And we have discounts, which is partially our fault because you get hyped, right? The first Black Friday comes along and you're like, oh my God, we're gonna have a Black Friday discount. And then you're like, okay, but also Halloween, why not? And also Christmas, and suddenly it snowballs into like having so many freaking like we had, I don't know, a Kim Kardashian got divorced discount, like so many reasons for discount. And then people who want these discounts, fine, they want to stack them. Someone was like, hey, I got this for the Halloween one last year, but there's Black Friday one. Can I stack the two? And I'm like, let me pay you for the app at this point. Like, no, you cannot stack them. But I want to thank my wife again for the politeness. If you ever use Sizzy and you received a customer email that's long and nice with paragraphs, it's my wife's email because she's super polite. if I would be in charge of replying to every customer, most emails would look like this. I just can't. I can't. It's the button is there. Just search for it. Don't email immediately. Next, we have the second one. Yeah, I worn a CISI shirt at a conference only once, and even just, I want to tell this story to motivate people and whatever, I cannot tell it without mentioning the products. I feel like, as a developers, we always find talking about your thing cringe, right? And Shakespeare agrees. So when I say fuck marketing, I mean particularly to this lovely group of people, including me, I'm also a developer, because we're the worst audience to sell something to. Like, it's almost impossible. My next product that I'm gonna make is gonna target everyone in the world, including, I don't know, snakes, lizards, whatever, but not developers. Like, they have all sorts of experience. I can build this by myself. I can do this in 5 minutes. I like it. They just invent all sorts of things. And I mentioned the GitHub Copilot example. It's good until it's paid. Then it's like, no, I don't need it or whatever. Next, we have hiring. So I've done one round of interviews in my life a couple of years ago when I decided I'm going to grow the team, there's going to be more people, yada, yada, yada. And then I had to hire people. This was on Upwork, so, take it with a grain of salt. And these are some of the experience that I had with interviewing people. This is literally, I tuned to the first call. The guy's late. He's on a balcony. He's zooming on his phone on a freaking balcony. And he's like, yo, bro, let me just finish my cigarette. And she's just smoking on the balcony. I'm like, all right, you're not getting hired. Next, I have an interview with a woman. She's in a cafe, and I'm really trying to hear what she's trying to say, but all I'm hearing is, but the player's gonna play. Because I hear the music. There's no audio setup, microphone, nothing. And we can barely have a conversation. Next interview I had, in the middle of it, everything was going good. I don't know how we got there. It was like a blink and we got there. This woman started convincing me that COVID was a hoax. She was like, and the vaccines in the hospital. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how you think you're getting that job. And the last one, there were some connection problems. There was something, it looked like a basement scenario with a chair or whatever. I see only like a black picture. I'm trying to make, who's talking out of there. And I just hear like, hello. And I'm like, I would love to interview you, but are you kidnapped? Should we call 911? Like, what the fuck is going here? So that was my hiring experience. And I can go on and on and on. There's like so many other things, like meetings and electoral bullshit and meetings and writing a privacy policy before ChatGPT, okay? Now you can just tell it to write you. But all of these things and meetings are a thing, even when you find your own thing. Only that you're the asshole who schedules the meetings. Then it gets worse. So let's go through them again and move here. Why don't you just hire someone? Everyone has this stupid solution, like money. That's why you cannot, you don't make enough money to hire someone and to make sure they're going to get a stable job. So we have this class. He's tired of me, Shakespeare, probably at this point. Like, should we go VC or should we keep things bootstrap? I talked to so many people who wanted to invest in CISI, but they asked me, can you focus on one thing? And you remember the golden retriever ADHD slide? No, I cannot. I always answered, no, I cannot focus only on CISI. I have too many things boiling that I want to make. And second thing is, like, I'm afraid of losing control because I'm pretty sure if we ever got an investment, CISI would turn into like a KFC ad and it would have NFTs and timers, like you cannot use it after 3 seconds or you have to watch this ad or whatever. So you think, oh, it must be nice to keep things in control. You don't have a VC, you don't have a boss. I'm gonna keep droning on this point. Like, this is so overvalued. I don't even know how to say it. Because I was like, ever since I was freelancing, I was just dreaming. When I had a job, I was dreaming of being a freelancer. When I was freelancer, I was like, no, I don't want anyone to tell me I want an empty calendar. And one day you find yourself with an empty calendar and you don't know what to freaking, like, it sounds bad if you have 17 meetings this week. You hate me for saying this. But even with an empty calendar, it's, you think it's gonna free you up, but it's actually, it's not that relieving when you have to figure out, okay, what do I do with my week? What do I do with my day? So the pros are planning your own time and making your own decisions and planning your own tasks. And the cons are the same, planning your own time, making your own decisions, and planning your own tasks. Because a lot of days you would kill for someone to give you a daily CSS puzzle or a task or whatever. You finish it, you go home at 5 p.m., you watch, I don't know, House of Dragons or whatever, and you chill. This way, you don't know when does your workday start, when does it end, when, like, you know anything, you're left on your own to figure shit out. Like, this is way over, like, everyone wants to be like, I'm the CEO, whatever. Like, we planned, back when I had a job, we planned, one day we're gonna quit, we're gonna call an orchestra and trumpets and fuck my own boss. And people think, like, there's only working for someone and working for yourself. But in between, there's working for someone better. Like, if you don't like your job, doesn't mean you have to be the next indie hacker or whatever. You can just find a better one, a better scenario. Because at the end of the day, you'll always be working for someone. For me, it flipped from working for a boss to actually working for customers. You have to work for every single customer. They have complaints, they have things that you have to fix. So eventually you turn around and suddenly you have thousands of bosses who actually want to tell you how to do things. So everything seems more glamorous from the outside. Do I have 2-3 minutes left? Can I wrap up? Yeah? Okay, so we're going through slides. So hiring people, huge responsibility because you have to plan their work days. You have, like, I would think like, if I want to be a good boss, I'm going to let them do whatever they want. Most people don't like that. They panic. They're like, no, give me instructions. What do I do today? What do I do tomorrow? So I started building this like prison walls while building this startup, I felt like, what am I doing? But prison has more benefits than being a founder. And this slide is a proof for that. So yeah, so because we don't have time, I'm going to skip the story or how I was so stressed that I almost got hit by a bus, but let's just skip that one. I would say that on some days I want to quit, but on most days I actually want to quit. And it feels unfair to quit. It feels like after so many years, so many customers, it feels unfair to just be like, no, throw in the towel and just be like, I'm going to get back. I want to escape and build something else, but I remember this chart. If I go back, it will be fun until here, and then the slide begins, and it's a cycle. And yeah, like this sounds a little bit, you thought it's going to be easy peasy. I'm going to do this and that. I'm going to buy a Tesla and stuff like that. It's not that easy. What you don't see is you don't see the behind the scenes, how stressful the journey can actually be. When you have something paid, you have so much responsibility. This is, a bit lame and corny, but it's actually freaking true. And I don't want to feel the way that I feel during COVID, like super stressed, super anxious. Few final slides, like 3 final slides. There's no next level. I always thought there's like a next level. You can make the current level where you're at. You can be happy at the current level. It's fine being number 2. Actually, I would say number 2 is the shit. Not one pun you laughed at, goddammit. And happiness is a mindset. This sounds like also another corny thing, but it is. Knowing all of this, last slide, somebody asked me at a conference, knowing everything you went through, would you do it again? And I hate the person who asked me that question because I have no freaking idea. Thank you. Scan that QR code. Follow me on Twitter. Sorry for taking a bit more time. Enjoy the conference.